This sweet Bobcat appeared at a vet clinic one morning, and what happened after shocked everyone. Before watching, please like and subscribe so you won't miss another heartwarming story like this, and tell us in the comments where you're from and what time it is. Everything started on a normal Tuesday morning at Cedar Ridge Veterinary Clinic, a little brick building tucked away behind maple trees at the edge of town. The air was fresh and crisp with early spring, and sunshine sparkled on puddles in the parking lot left by last night's rain. Inside, everyone was beginning their usual work. Dr. Marcus was arranging vaccine bottles. His assistant, Jake, was storing bandages, and their colleague, Dr. Daniel, was finishing paperwork from yesterday's surgeries. The coffee machine made a hissing sound like an irritated cat, filling the air with a smell that was both burnt and comforting. Everything was calm until Jake suddenly froze and gestured toward the glass door. Doc," he whispered, "you've got to see this." At first, Marcus assumed it was a dog, maybe an injured stray, the kind they often helped when the shelter was full. But as the animal came closer, everyone fell silent. She was a bobcat, a real wild bobcat, not huge but powerfully built, her coat displaying a beautiful blend of golden brown and dark markings. Her ears had the characteristic black tips, but something was terribly wrong. She was staggering, her movements unsteady and desperate. Foam gathered at the corners of her mouth, and her breathing came in rapid, shallow gasps. Her legs trembled with each step, barely able to support her weight. But what stunned them most wasn't just her condition. It was her expression. The bobcat looked straight through the glass, eyes desperate but pleading, as though she knew this was somewhere that could heal her. No one moved for several seconds. Then Marcus whispered, "Don't frighten her. Let her enter if she wants to." The automatic door opened with its usual sound, and the bobcat hesitated, sniffing the unfamiliar air. She could have returned to the woods, but instead she took 3 unsteady steps forward and collapsed onto the cool floor, her sides heaving, trembling from weakness but showing no aggression. Marcus crouched low, his heart racing. "Hey girl, you found the right spot." They gently guided her into the exam room using calm voices and slow movements. She didn't resist, just watched them through half-closed eyes, utterly exhausted. Daniel quietly closed the door and Jake laid down a towel. Close up, the signs were unmistakable. Her pupils were dilated abnormally, her gums pale, her body temperature dropping. "Poisoning," Marcus said grimly. "Probably rat poison or something worse." Even more concerning, Marcus noticed something else when she shifted weakly. Her belly was swollen, firm, obvious. "She's pregnant," he murmured. That changed everything. Caring for wild animals always meant balancing medical treatment with respecting nature's boundaries. But when an animal enters your clinic seeking help, the choice was easy. Marcus administered activated charcoal immediately and started IV fluids to flush her system. They worked quickly but carefully, monitoring her heart rate as the medication began to counteract the toxins in her blood. The bobcat lay still, trusting them completely, too weak to do anything else. Hours passed with agonizing slowness. They cleaned the foam from her mouth, kept her hydrated, and watched for any sign of improvement. "Her odds aren't great," Daniel whispered. "The poison's been in her system for a while, and with the pregnancy." Marcus nodded grimly. "But she made it here. She's a fighter." By evening, her breathing finally began to steady. The trembling subsided. When she opened her eyes fully for the first time and looked at Marcus, there was a clarity there that hadn't existed before. "Welcome back, girl," he said softly. They placed her in a large recovery enclosure with soft blankets, dimmed the lights, and let her rest. For the first few hours, she slept so deeply it almost scared them. But when she woke and noticed a water dish beside her, she drank desperately, then glanced up at Marcus through the bars with something resembling gratitude. The clinic cats, two affectionate tabby cats named Oliver and Shadow, approached the cage door inquisitively. Usually, seeing a wild predator would have sent them fleeing, but this bobcat seemed to radiate calm power. Even the nervous cats who hissed at every unfamiliar sound began to relax when she blinked slowly at them. They named her Luna after the nearby river valley, where she likely originated. For the next week, she became part of their routine. Between surgeries and appointments, Marcus and Jake would quietly check on her. She welcomed their presence, even began to make a gentle purring sound when Jake replaced her bedding or when Marcus spoke softly to her. Her appetite returned. She devoured raw chicken so hungrily that they could almost see her gaining strength. The poison was leaving her system, and with it, life was returning to her eyes. Then, one stormy night just before closing, Luna began pacing in her enclosure, tail swishing, breathing quick and shallow. Marcus understood what was occurring. "It's time," he announced. The team stayed after closing, dimming the lights, keeping the clinic quiet. They didn't interfere, just watched through the glass as nature took its course. Hours passed slowly. Rain hammered the windows. Around midnight, the first tiny kitten entered the world, damp and trembling. Then a second, then a third. When the last kitten made a sound, Luna turned to clean them, her rough tongue working with precise care. She curled her body around the small spotted babies, eyes half closed, exhausted but radiant. None of the men spoke for quite a while in that little clinic lit by desk lamps and stormlight. It felt sacred. Over the following days, Luna's presence transformed the clinic. The veterinarians had always been dedicated professionals, but she brought a quiet sense of wonder to their work. The local shelter delivered more injured cats than usual, and somehow, when a frightened house cat arrived, Luna seemed to soothe them. From her enclosure at the rear of the recovery room, she'd make a soft, huffing sound, gentle, steady, reassuring. The cats would stop crying, ears perked, as though they trusted her more than any human voice. One morning, Marcus observed a young feral tomcat in the holding cage, furious, terrified, hissing at everyone. But when Luna's kittens began to mew softly, the tomcat stopped, then slowly lowered his head, his ears relaxing. Jake laughed quietly. "She's doing your job for you, Doc." Even the dog sensed her peace. The clinic's beagle patient, usually anxious, stopped shaking when placed near her room. Marcus began joking that Luna was the clinic's new therapist. Her kittens thrived beautifully. Within 3 weeks, they were tumbling around in a tangle of spotted fur. Luna watched them constantly, but she allowed the vets to have brief looks. When Marcus refilled her water, one kitten wandered toward his shoe, batting at the laces. He smiled, but remained motionless, knowing any sudden move would send them scurrying back to their mother. By month's end, Luna was walking normally again. Her strength had fully returned, the poison completely cleared from her system. But she didn't seem eager to leave. When the clinic door was propped open on mild afternoons, she would walk to the threshold, smell the breeze, then return inside as though she'd made her decision. Daniel occasionally wondered aloud, maybe she knows her kittens wouldn't make it out there yet. Marcus agreed, but suspected it was something deeper. Luna wasn't confined. She was choosing to stay. Every evening after the last client departed, she roamed around the clinic freely, gliding through the exam rooms with silent grace, checking every corner as if making her rounds. The tabby cats followed her like little apprentices, their tails high, mimicking her confidence. In May, when the kittens were ready to wean, Marcus and Jake built a large enclosed space behind the clinic, part indoors, part outdoors with lumber and hiding spots. It was intended for temporary wildlife rehabilitation, but it quickly became Luna's family space. She led her kittens there naturally, teaching them how to stalk shadows and scale platforms. Each evening, the vets would sit outside the fence after work, sipping coffee and watching them play. It was Jake who first noticed the change one evening. "Doc," he said, gesturing toward the open clinic door. A stray orange cat had wandered in, limping badly. One paw wasn't touching the ground. Instead of fleeing at seeing the Bobcat family, the stray walked straight to the fence, meowing softly. Luna rose from where she was lying and came to the wire face to face with the injured cat. After a long moment, the stray laid down. "She's calling them here," Jake whispered. And it wasn't just once. Over the following weeks, more strays appeared. Thin, hurt, sometimes feral, but somehow finding their way to Cedar Ridge Clinic. Word spread through the townspeople like folklore. Cats were showing up at the veterinarian's entrance as though something was directing them. Marcus didn't believe in miracles easily, but even he had to admit it seemed like more than coincidence. Luna's kittens grew strong and wild, and by midsummer, 2 were released back into the nearby forest, with tracking collars to monitor their adaptation. The 3rd kitten stayed, smaller, more bonded to humans, especially to Jake, who couldn't resist the little one's habit of napping on his shoes during lunch. Luna watched each departure with calm dignity. She no longer resembled the struggling creature who had collapsed through their door months before. She was magnificent now, confident, fully who she was meant to be. And though the open wilderness was just steps away, she continued living near the clinic, dividing her time between the forest and the place where she had found help. Marcus sometimes found her sitting by the front window at dawn, watching the parking lot where pet owners arrived with their animals. The moment a cat began to cry from inside a carrier, Luna would make that same soft huffing sound, and somehow the crying would stop. It became their unspoken routine. She was part of the team now. Clients would arrive, see the wild bobcat resting calmly behind the reception desk and whisper, "Is that really real?" Jake would grin. "She's our assistant manager." By autumn, Luna had become a legend in the small town. The local newspaper ran an article, "Wild Bobcat Makes Veterinary Clinic Her Home." Donations poured in for wildlife care, but for Marcus and the others, her presence was worth more than publicity. She reminded them every day why they'd chosen this profession. The bond between wild nature and compassion, instinct and healing. Sometimes, late at night when the clinic was empty and the hum of the refrigerators was all you could hear, Marcus would see her walking quietly through the corridors, checking rooms like a guardian. She'd pause by the cages of recovering cats, peer inside, and if one was distressed, she'd lie down nearby until it calmed. She didn't make any sound, just her presence. The vets knew that someday she might vanish back into the forest forever. She was wild after all. But until that day, they weren't going to question the gift she'd given them. She had arrived poisoned and carrying new life, seeking help nobody expected she would ask for. In return, she gave them peace, wonder, and a kind of beauty that no education could teach. One evening, near winter, Marcus stepped outside to lock up and saw her sitting beneath the maple tree, her fur catching the last rays of the setting sun. She looked at him, head tilted slightly, those golden eyes expressing something ancient and kind. Then she turned toward the forest. For a moment he thought she was leaving, but when he came in the next morning, she was back in her spot by the reception desk, purring softly as the first patients arrived. That day, a scared kitten came for its first shots, shaking so badly it couldn't stay still. Luna got up, walked over, and sat at a small distance. The kitten stopped shaking, its eyes fixed on her peaceful presence. The injection went in without a sound. Marcus smiled. "Good girl," he whispered. "You're one of us now." And in the heart of that small-town clinic between medicine and wilderness, a bobcat named Luna purred softly, guarding her pack, the people who saved her, and the animals she now helped them heal. Did you enjoy this story? If a wild injured bobcat appeared at your door seeking help, would you let her in and try to help her yourself? Yes or no? Tell us in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Have a great day.